My parents posted on Instagram, bragging about my adopted brother winning a national street dance competition. Meanwhile, I just spent the last 12 hours hauling bricks on a construction site. I finally got a minute to eat dinner, only to see the post they'd forgotten to hide from me. In the photo, they were celebrating him at a five-star restaurant, a stark contrast to the stale sandwich and lukewarm coffee in my hands. 3 minutes later, they must have realized their mistake. The post vanished. At the same time, the sky above me shimmered with countless lines of text, like a cosmic social media feed. The main character has a loving family. He's so lucky. He's rich, gets whatever he wants. Who wouldn't be jealous? The supporting character working all those jobs is pathetic, but what do you expect? He's the side character. He deserves a miserable life. It all clicked into place. I was the supporting character in a long-lost heir novel. And my family wasn't poor. Not by a long shot. My parents had been faking it for years, worried I'd fight my adopted brother, the fake heir, for the family fortune. They even faked illnesses, tricking me into working myself to the bone just to prove to their precious adopted son how little they cared about me. I was born into what I thought was an ordinary family. When I was 5, my parents' business suddenly took off. They landed a series of massive contracts, and the company's profits skyrocketed as if it had caught a ride on a rocket ship. In just a few years, the Vance family became a household name. They were always too busy with the business, so I was mostly looked after by my sister, who was 3 years older, and our nanny. When I was 8, my sister, Chloe, took me to Coney Island, and she lost me. I was kidnapped and taken to a remote, run-down town in rural Appalachia. 10 years later, the police finally caught the traffickers, and I was brought home. By then, besides Chloe, there was a new boy in the family, Jaden, just a few months younger than me. Chloe confronted me, her voice sharp and hostile. Jaden is the son Mom and Dad adopted from an orphanage. He may not be related to us by blood, but we've lived together for 10 years. We have a real bond. She glared at me. That bond is stronger than some biological connection to a stranger who hasn't been around. So, don't even think about kicking him out of this family, Caleb. Her immediate aggression was jarring. I was hurt. I had no intention of driving anyone away. Chloe, I started trying to explain. She cut me off. "You said you could call me Chloe?" she snapped. "Just because we have the same parents and you're younger, you think that makes you my brother? Please. My only brother is Jaden. You wish you could be my brother. Dream on." To prove her point, she wrapped her arms tightly around Jaden. Jaden, for his part, put on a pitiful expression. "You're so good to me, Chloe," he murmured. "But I'm not really part of the family. I should probably just leave." Chloe's heart melted. "Don't be ridiculous. You're 18, Jaden. You've had a good life since you came here. What would you even do out there on your own?" My mother rushed to hug him too. "Don't say that, honey. It's true the Vance family went bankrupt and we have nothing left, but we would never abandon you." That's when I realized something was wrong. Before I was taken, we were rich, unbelievably rich. But the home they brought me to was a tiny 200-square-foot apartment in a dilapidated building in the Bronx. It was practically empty. My mother said we were bankrupt. My father stepped out then. After murmuring a few comforting words to Jaden, he turned to me, his eyes filled with contempt. "Why are you so quiet? What is this, some kind of silent protest to force your brother out? How did I raise such a manipulative, toxic brat?" A knot of discomfort tightened in my stomach, but I forced a smile. "No, Dad, that's not it. I never wanted to kick Jaden out. Jaden, please don't leave. You're our family. Let's all live here together." And so, a family of 5 squeezed into that tiny apartment. I gradually learned the family business had collapsed a few years ago. We were broke with barely any savings. But that was okay, I thought. As long as we supported each other, we could still be happy. But fate had other plans. My parents and sister started having health problems, one after another. They couldn't work. Jaden had to take care of them. The burden of earning money fell entirely on my shoulders. I started working around the clock, taking any job I could find, barely ever making it home. It was hard, brutally hard, but for my family, I was willing to endure it. Of course, that was all based on the assumption that any of it was real, and not a lie that would be shattered 6 years later. By a single Instagram post my parents forgot to hide from me. Our amazing son, Jaden, won the National Street Dance Championship today. In the picture, they were seated in a lavish Manhattan restaurant, celebrating him with a feast of steak and lobster. I sat on a pile of drywall at a construction site, staring down at my dinner, the same dinner I'd had for years, a stale sandwich and a cup of lukewarm coffee. A bitter sting filled my nose. 3 minutes later, they must have remembered they hadn't blocked me. When I refreshed my feed, the post was gone. Just then, the sky above me began to flicker. Countless lines of text appeared, a ghostly stream of comments. Jaden Vance is so lucky. He has a mom, dad, and sister who adore him. He gets everything he wants. Well, yeah, he's the main character of the novel after all. I feel bad for the supporting character, though. Caleb didn't do anything, but he has to work himself to death. Feel bad for him. Why? His very existence is a mistake. If he wasn't around, his parents would love Jaden even more. As the real heir, he's just going to try and steal Jaden's inheritance later. He's the worst. And just like that, I understood. I was living inside a real versus fake heir novel. Jaden was the protagonist, and I was the disposable supporting character. The floating text filled in the blanks. 6 years ago, when the police brought me home, my so-called family told me they were bankrupt and had to live in this dump. In reality, this wasn't their home at all. They were faking being poor because they were afraid that if I knew the Vance Corporation was still a powerhouse, I'd fight Jaden for the inheritance, for my rightful place as the successor. Their illnesses were fake, too. All of it. Tricking me into working was their twisted way of proving their love for Jaden. See, Jaden, we truly love you. We don't love your brother. Why else would we watch him work multiple jobs day and night and not do a single thing about it? The truth hit me like a punch to the gut. After a moment of silence, I walked off the construction site. Following a tip from the cosmic feed, I made my way to the upscale restaurant where my family was celebrating. Jaden, you're incredible, a national dance champion. You're brilliant at everything, so much better than that useless piece of trash. Chloe was raising a glass of champagne. Her words froze in her throat the moment she saw me. Her face went rigid. My parents and Jaden noticed her reaction and turned. Their expressions were a masterclass in shock. My mother managed a weak, awkward smile. Caleb, don't misunderstand, she lied. We're only eating here because my employer, the family I cleaned for, gave me a gift certificate. I cut her off before she could finish, my voice cold as ice. Mom, I thought you were too sick to work. How are you suddenly a maid for a rich family? And what was that Chloe just said about a dance champion? If the family is bankrupt, how did you afford to train a champion? I scanned their faces. There's something else I don't get. Whenever we're together at the apartment, your skin is sallow and rough. But right now, all of you are glowing. Your skin is perfect. It's almost as if you were makeup to look poor. My mother was speechless. She fidgeted, unable to come up with an answer. My father, however, flew into a rage. He stomped over to me and raised his hand. Slap, slap. 2 hard slaps cracked across my face. You ungrateful brat, he roared. How dare you question your parents? He took a breath, his face contorted with fury. Fine. The charade is over. There's no point in hiding it anymore. Yes, we've been faking it. Faking being poor, faking being sick. It was to stop you from trying to steal the inheritance from Jaden. Chloe walked toward me, her eyes glinting with malice. Caleb, we lived with Jaden for 10 years. For those 10 years, you were living with strangers. So don't blame us for favoring him. He's earned it. He's better than some kid who grew up in the backwoods. Hearing the truth beforehand was one thing. Hearing it from their own mouths was another. I felt my heart shatter into a million pieces. When he thought no one was looking, Jaden stuck his tongue out at me and flipped me the middle finger. I was about to lunge at him, but just then, restaurant security showed up. Good evening, one of them said. Is there a problem here? We heard shouting from this private room. Chloe waved a dismissive hand, pointing at me. This man is disturbing our family dinner. Please remove him. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Family dinner? Am I not your family? Chloe, do you even hear yourself? My voice cracked with rage. The 4 of them stared back, completely unfazed. The security guard, wanting to be sure, gestured to me and asked them, Ma'am, are you certain this man isn't with you? Chloe waved him off impatiently. My mother was busy consoling Jaden, terrified he might think for a second that he wasn't loved. My father spoke up, his voice dripping with anger. We told you he's bothering us. What are you waiting for? Get this person out of here. I touched my swollen cheek. My voice was hollow. So it's true. I'm really not part of your family. I paused. In that case, I lunged toward my father, raised my hand, and slapped him back twice hard. We're even. The room fell silent, deathly still. Everyone was stunned. My father's face turned purple with rage. Caleb, you dare hit me? You ungrateful punk. I laughed, a wild, unhinged sound. Me? Ungrateful punk? Didn't you just say I had no relationship with you? That I was just some guy disturbing your family dinner? I sneered. If that's the case, you hit me, and I hit you back. Seems fair to me. Or maybe you don't think it's fair. Go on, call the cops. Let them investigate. Or better yet, call the press. Let's see what the internet thinks about what I did. Is it right or wrong? The Vance family, for all their private cruelty, couldn't afford a public scandal, blindly favoring an adopted son to the point of tormenting their biological one. The story would destroy them. Jaden was glaring at me with pure hatred. Chloe looked genuinely scared, as if she never imagined I would fight back. My mother was a nervous wreck, her hands fluttering in the air, terrified of what I might do next. My father was truly panicked now. Get this bastard out of here, he screamed at the guards. What are you standing there for? Useless idiots. If you don't throw him out, I'll have you all fired. I'm the chairman of the Vance Corporation. The owner of this restaurant plays golf with me. The guards' faces changed instantly. They couldn't risk offending him. They swarmed me, grabbed my arms, and started dragging me out of the restaurant. As they hauled me away, I let out a dark, maniacal laugh aimed at the Vances. You're the ones who said I wasn't family. Since that's the deal, don't blame me for what comes next. I paused at the door. Did you ever wonder why the Vance family business suddenly took off when I was 5? Did you really think you did that on your own? My laughter must have been truly unhinged, because Jaden looked terrified. He tugged on Chloe's arm, feigning concern. Chloe, what did he mean by that? Is he going to do something to us? He whispered. And what was that about the business taking off? What's he talking about? Chloe snorted. Don't worry about it, Jaden. My father's eyes were filled with scorn. He's just making empty threats because we disowned him. What can a lowlife like him possibly do? My mother said nothing, but the look she gave me as I was thrown out was pure disgust. Tossed on the street, I looked up at the restaurant's glittering LED sign, thinking about the feast I had seen on their table. That one meal probably cost more than I make in a few months. I sighed. I glanced up at the floating text feed. It was going wild. Is Caleb Wood insane? Look how he scared poor Jaden. If you have issues, get therapy. Don't take it out on everyone else. What a drama queen. So what if he found out the truth? He's still a reject. Our protagonist is the best. He doesn't have to do anything to be loved. Instead of throwing a tantrum, maybe he should go find another job. He's already lost his family. He's going to lose his income too. I smirked. Lost my family, about to lose my income. I may have lost my family, but the one who's about to lose their income, that's not going to be me. Half an hour later, I was back at the 200-square-foot apartment. 2 bedrooms and a living area. 1 bedroom for my parents, the other divided into 2 tiny spaces for Chloe and Jaden. I used to sleep on the couch in the living room. But once I started working constantly to pay for their medical bills, I was barely ever here. The cot they'd set up for me was long gone. I walked to the bedrooms and pushed open the doors. They were as neat and impersonal as hotel rooms. They had always used privacy as an excuse to keep me out. Now I saw why. Aside from the times they were putting on their poor family act for me, they clearly didn't live here. There were almost no personal belongings. I sat back down on the living room couch with a bitter smile. The text feed was still scrolling across the sky. Jaden's smile is so sweet. That's what pure happiness from being loved by your family looks like. Compare that to the other guy with his long, miserable face. No wonder his family hates him. You can't say that. He works nonstop to pay their medical bills. When would he have time to smile? Are you his girlfriend or something? Why are you defending him? So the feed loved their protagonist, Jaden. Fine. He and Vance wouldn't be enjoying their charmed life for much longer. 1 day, 2 days, 6 days passed. It was time. DNG. Host. The current binding period has expired. The system's binding target is Jaden Vance. Do you wish to change it? In my mind, I answered silently. Change it. Change it to me. The binding target has been changed to host Caleb Wood. Congratulations, host, on acquiring 1 month of extreme good luck. The voice in my head went silent. The system had returned to its usual cold, aloof state. That's right. I've had a system for over 20 years. When I was 5, the system found me and bonded with me. It said, "Hello, host. I am the extreme good luck system." Each month, you can select one person as the binding target. That person will then possess unlimited luck. After 1 month, you can change the binding target or keep the same one. Of course, you can also select yourself as the binding target and receive the unlimited luck. I was too young to fully understand what it meant. I had so many questions, but the system was aloof and wouldn't answer. Even though I didn't get all the details, I understood it was a good thing. Whoever I chose would get good things. So, from the day I got the system, once every month, I rotated the binding target between the 3 people in my family. My dad, my mom, my sister. That's exactly when our family business exploded, and the Vance family became titans of industry overnight. Even after I was kidnapped and living in that desolate mountain town, I kept doing it, rotating the target every month without fail. This continued until 6 years ago when I was brought home. When I found out Jaden was part of the family, I added his name to my list. But, system, are you not working anymore? I'd asked back then, why isn't the binding target getting any extreme good luck? Why did the Vance family go bankrupt? Why are Mom, Dad, and Chloe all sick? When I first returned, I had frantically questioned the system. The only answer it ever gave was, "Host, the system has not failed." And then it would go silent. I was used to its cold demeanor, so I didn't press further. I just assumed it was temporarily malfunctioning, but I never stopped changing the target each month, hoping it would start working properly again. So it wasn't malfunctioning at all. I muttered to myself on the dusty couch. My face was a mask of bitterness. The Vances never went bankrupt. They're still a rich and powerful family. They were getting the unlimited good luck the whole time. They were just faking being poor. The street dance champion. Last month, I'd set the binding target to Jaden, and he became a national champion. I did a quick Google search. On the day of the finals, several of the top competitors had either gotten sick or had some kind of accident. All told, more than a dozen of the best dancers didn't even show up. The comment sections were full of speculation. If those other dancers had competed, there's no way a low-talent guy like Jaden Vance could have won. He wouldn't have even made the top 10. It's so weird. How could so many people have something go wrong on the exact same day of the finals? A coincidence? Of course not. It was Jaden's extreme good luck at work. I looked down at my arms at the scars and calluses covering them. A wave of nausea washed over me. All these years, I never once set myself as the target. I wanted the best for the Vance family. I worked my fingers to the bone to earn money for your fake medical bills. Haha. I threw my heart to the dogs. I fed my own heart to a pack of rabid dogs. Ha ha! As I laughed, my fists clenched, the veins standing out on my skin. Today was the day to change the binding target. Without hesitation, I made myself the target. I used to love you, so I gave you everything. Now all I have is hate. So I'm taking my gift back. System, congratulations, host, on acquiring 1 month of extreme good luck. The voice in my head vanished. I stood up from the couch, my eyes cold as steel. It was time to make my move. 1 Powerball ticket, please. The plan was simple. Take over the Vance Corporation. Of course, to do that, I needed a corporation of my own. First, I needed to start a company. Whether it was founding it or getting the initial investment, I needed money. The lottery was the fastest and easiest way to build capital. With the system's help, I casually hit a few multi-million-dollar jackpots. With cash in hand, I started my company. With my unlimited luck, it was just like the Vance Corporation when I was 5. My new company was flooded with orders. Business boomed. I partnered with bigger and bigger firms. Every industry I invested in turned to gold. Every product I launched flew off the shelves. Money made money. Profits snowballed. 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million, a billion. In almost no time, my Wood Enterprises became a legend in the business world. To say it was a household name would be an understatement. My employees were ecstatic, but I remained calm. I was still a long way from my ultimate goal of swallowing the Vance Corporation whole. Just when I thought my plan might take years to achieve, a bombshell news story broke online. The Vance Corporation was in free fall, on the verge of collapsing into a third-rate company. I knew my parents weren't competent business people. They had always relied on my system, on extreme good luck, to keep the corporation running. Since the 4 of them held shares, good luck for one meant good luck for all. Now, the binding target was me. Their luck had run out. It was inevitable their profits would plummet. Caleb, what are you doing here? I told you you're not part of this family anymore. Are you stalking us? You need money, don't you? Today was the day when Enterprises was meeting with the Vance Corporation about a potential project. Normally, I wouldn't bother personally negotiating with a company that was already circling the drain. But it had been a while since I'd seen the Vances, and I was curious to see how they were holding up. But this was a strange turn of events. My father seemed to think I was a stalker who had come begging for cash. He pulled out his wallet, took out a $20 bill, and threw it in my face. "Get out of my company," he growled. "We have a meeting with a very important person today about a critical project. If you don't get lost, I'll have security deal with you." My mother picked up the $20 bill from the floor and shoved it into my hand. Her tone was chiding. "Caleb, are you not leaving because you think it's not enough money? Why are you so materialistic? You really spent too long in that backwoods town. You may have our blood, but your character has been corrupted by selfishness. This is $20. A slice of pizza is a few bucks. This could buy you enough to eat for a week." She glared at me. "You're just standing there. You want more. You're not a Vance anymore. Why should we give you anything? You ungrateful brat. You're going to give me a heart attack." She got more and more worked up, finally collapsing into a chair, breathing heavily and staring at me with reddened eyes. Chloe rushed to pat her mother's back, then turned and spat in my direction. "Who does he think he is?" she seethed. "Showing up here to beg for money on such an important day. I bet you found out about our meeting and picked today on purpose. Figured we'd pay you to go away. Caleb, you are a toxic, despicable animal. You should be ashamed." Jaden stood up and strolled over to me with a smirk. "Bro, Dad already told you. The company has a meeting with a big shot today to sign a huge deal." "Oh, wait, I forgot. My brothers never even set foot inside the Vance Corporation offices." He leaned closer. "So you probably don't even know what a project deal is, do you?" He whispered in my ear, his voice dripping with provocation. "You're not like me, bro. I'd only been with the family for a few years when Mom and Dad gave me shares in the company. They didn't just bring me into the corporation. They put me in charge of major projects. While you were getting whipped by criminals in some Appalachian shack, I was chilling in a corner office." Before he could finish, I swung my fist into his face. I looked down at him crumpled on the floor. "Using a victim's past trauma as a way to show off," I said coldly. "You must have a death wish." Jaden, of course, had no idea how disgusting his words were. He clutched his face, sobbing as he looked to the others. "Dad, Mom, Chloe, my face hurts. After I won the dance competition, a bunch of brands wanted me for commercials. If my face is bruised, how am I supposed to do any shoots?" The three of them went ballistic. Chloe threw her arms around her precious brother, her eyes locked on me, ready to shield him from another blow. My mother immediately called security into the office. My father charged at me, his hand raised to strike, ready to defend his beloved son. "You bastard, I'm going to kill you today. If I don't kill you, you can call me." His hand never landed. Another man in a sharp business suit appeared at the door. It was my subordinate, Mr. Liu, a manager from one of Enterprises' subsidiary companies. The moment my father saw him, his face broke into a sycophantic grin. "Mr. Liu, we're so glad you could make it. You probably don't remember me. We met briefly at a few business conferences." Mr. Liu ignored his rambling. He turned, saw me, and immediately smiled respectfully. "Mr. Wood, what are you doing here? This is a minor project. It's not worthy of your personal attention." The four Vances froze, turning to stone. My father's head slowly swiveled back to me, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Mr. Wood? Wait, Wood Enterprises. Mr. Wood. Caleb Wood," he stammered. How could a loser like you be the chairman of a major corporation?" Mr. Liu was not pleased. His tone became sharp. "Excuse me, Mr. Vance, did you just call the chairman of our corporation a loser? If you're not serious about this partnership, just say so. Frankly, you should have come to our offices for this negotiation. We chose to come here out of consideration for your companies. Delicate situation, but seeing your lack of sincerity, I don't think there's any need to cooperate." My father panicked. He forced another smile. No, Mr. Liu, that's not what I meant." The more flustered he got, the more he fumbled his words. My mother quickly stepped in. "Mr. Liu, my husband didn't mean that. He and Mr. Wood just have a little misunderstanding. That's all, a misunderstanding. We are very sincere about this partnership. Just then, the security guard she had called burst into the room. Mrs. Vance, you call for us? One of them asked. Who needs to be removed? I raised my hand. That would be me, but I'll see myself out. No need to trouble you, gentlemen. The color drained from my mother's face. I didn't care. I turned and walked out. Mr. Liu didn't stay either, following right behind me out of the Vance Corporation headquarters. My father didn't want to let me go. He ran in front of me, blocking my path with his arms spread wide. Son, wait. I stopped, smiled. I glanced back at Jaden, still on the floor, being cradled protectively by Chloe. That's your son, I said. I'm not a Vance. You've all made that perfectly clear many times. I remember. My father's face turned a grim shade of gray. My mother hurried over, her face arranged in a gentle expression I hadn't seen in years. Caleb, my dear son, she cooed. You can't just ignore us like this. The Vance Corporation is on its last legs. We desperately need this project with your company to recover. Be a good boy, Caleb. Please. If this deal goes through, we'll let you come back home. I'll let you call me Mom again, and your father will let you call him Dad. I looked them both up and down. A scornful laugh escaped my lips. And you think you're worthy? They were both seething, their mouths opening to retort, but no words came out. They could only watch as I walked away with my team. The Vances wouldn't give up that easily. I just didn't expect Chloe to be the first one to come looking for me. A few days ago, she had tried to get into the Wood Enterprises building, but I told the front desk not to let her up. So she resorted to staking out the parking garage. I don't know how long she waited, but she finally caught me. Her face was twisted in a furious pout. Stop playing games, Caleb. Mom and Dad already said if you give us a few of your company's projects, they'll let you come home. What are you still trying to prove? We're already making a huge concession. This act is getting old. I pulled out my phone. Security to the parking garage. There's a crazy woman down here, spouting nonsense. Chloe's eyes widened in fury. What did you say? Hey, don't touch me. The security guards were incredibly fast. Before Chloe could even process what was happening, she was being dragged away, her angry shouts echoing through the concrete garage. A few days after that, my parents managed to find out where I lived. They started camping out in front of my villa. My mother handed me a bag. Caleb, it's getting cold. I stayed up all night knitting this sweater for you, she said, her voice filled with motherly affection. It was wrong of us not to take care of you in the past. Come home, Caleb. We want to make up for our mistakes. My father stood beside her, his expression soft, as if he were the most benevolent patriarch in the world. I took the bag from her, perhaps thinking they were making progress. A hopeful smile spread across both their faces. But I didn't even open it. I took the bag, wound up, and tossed it into a nearby trash can. And it's good. The bag landed perfectly inside. Yes, a three-pointer. I cheered, clapping for myself. I turned back to them. If you show up here again without my permission, I'll call the police for harassment. The Vance Corporation is already collapsing. If a story broke about its chairman and wife kicking their biological son out of the family, I imagine the company would go under even faster. That was the last straw. My parents broke down completely. Ignoring the stares of passersby, they started sobbing right there on the sidewalk. Caleb, son, please just help the Vance Corporation, my mother wailed. The company is drowning in debt. If this continues, bankruptcy is inevitable. You have to understand, it's easy to go from rags to riches, but impossible to go from riches back to rags. We're used to this life. We don't want to go back to being poor. Just give us one project, Caleb, anything. Our company desperately needs it. Their whining was getting on my nerves. I cut them off with a wave of my hand. Not my problem. I turned and went back inside my villa. The Vance family collapsed even faster than I had anticipated. Without the system's good luck buff, every industry they were involved in started losing money. Project after project failed. The corporation's debt mounted, and they couldn't pay it back. 6 months later, Vance Corporation officially declared bankruptcy. The four of them had been living in that rundown poverty apartment for 2 months now. They couldn't pay their debts and didn't want to go to jail, so their only option was to sell off all their assets. They managed to fill the financial hole, but they were left with almost no savings. They had no choice but to return here. Seeing the breakfast of stale bread and pickles, Chloe slammed her fork down. Mom, Dad, can't you make something better than this? Even if we can't have steak and lobster, can't we at least have some real food? I'm sick of eating this garbage. It's ruining my skin. My father sighed. I don't want to eat it either. But where's the money? My mother, sitting at the table, suddenly remembered something. Hasn't Jaden gotten up yet? Chloe snorted. He hasn't been back in days. Who knows where he is? As if on cue, the door swung open. Jaden stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. He staggered over to our parents and held out his hand. Money. I'm seeing this girl. She's like a minor celebrity. It costs a lot to impress her. Just give me a few thousand. My father slammed his chopsticks on the table. Jaden, how many days have you been gone? You come back only to ask for money. What money is there left? My mother looked at her beloved son, now a drunken mess, and her heart ached. Jaden, when we had to sell everything, we all felt so bad for you. We didn't make you sell any of your things or contribute any money. By our count, you should have had at least $100,000 left. It's only been a few months. How could you be out of money already? Jaden rolled his eyes at her. Are you stupid? What's $100,000 going to buy? A few designer bags for the girls I'm seeing, and it's gone. Cut the crap and give me the money. If you don't have it, go earn some. Don't just sit around the house, you hear me? Chloe shot up from her chair, marched over to him, and slapped him twice across the face. Slap, slap. She quickly comforted my mother, whose blood pressure was soaring, then turned back to Jaden. Before we went broke, it was Mom, Dad, Chloe all day long. So sweet. Now that the family is bankrupt, not only do you stop, but you call Mom stupid? How do we raise such an ungrateful snake? Jaden, enraged at being yelled at, flailed his arms wildly. I'm the snake? If I didn't look so much like Caleb, would you have even adopted me in the first place? I spent years by your side, sucking up to you every single day. Wasn't that payment enough? Instead of calling me a snake, why don't you admit you broke your promise? You failed to give me the life of luxury you guaranteed. If I'd known this would happen, I wish you'd never adopted me. He spun around and stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind him. Dad, Mom. Chloe had been about to chase after him to deliver a few more slaps, but she heard two thuds. She turned to see our parents had collapsed on the floor, fainted from sheer rage. The next time I saw a member of the Vance family was at a concert. I was in a second-floor VIP box when a server came in with a plate of fruit. I glanced over and saw a familiar face, Chloe. She was just as shocked to see me. Her once vibrant face was now haggard and pale. A deep flush of shame spread across her cheeks. She turned to flee, but after a few steps, her shame curdled into anger. She whipped around and shrieked at me. You're enjoying this, aren't you, Caleb? Seeing me like this. You won't even call me sister. It's because you look down on me. I was silent for a moment. The day I came home, I said calmly, you were the one who told me not to call you sister. Have you forgotten? She had forgotten. The memory brought a flash of embarrassment to her face. She covered her face with her hands, her shoulders shaking with small sobs that soon escalated into full-blown wails. Why did this happen? We were so rich. The Vance family had everything. And now Mom and Dad are sick in the hospital, and I have to work these horrible jobs to pay their medical bills. And Jaden, that bastard, he's a monster. We loved him so much, and not only does he refuse to work, he's been stealing money from us. I let her cry it out. Where her sobs subsided, I spoke. There's something you might not know, I said. Your beloved Jaden. He recently took out several large life insurance policies on you and your parents. Chloe froze, a jolt running through her. She didn't say another word. She just turned and ran out of the box. I turned my attention back to the concert. After the show ended, I was in the car on my way home when my assistant called with an update on the Vance family. Chloe had tracked Jaden down at a pool hall. In front of everyone, she confronted him, accusing him of planning to murder them for the insurance money. She screamed that they had given him everything, that they had even cast out their own flesh and blood to protect his place as the heir. And this was how he repaid them. By plotting to kill them, they argued fiercely. Finally, Chloe threatened to call the police and report him for conspiracy to commit murder. Fueled by alcohol, Jaden snapped. He grabbed a pool cue and beat Chloe to death right there in the hall. Once he sobered up, he panicked and fled, but it didn't take the police long to find him. All right, I understand, I said into the phone. I gave my assistant a few more instructions, then added, "Oh, and one more thing. That aspiring actress who was hanging around Jaden, give her some resources. A TV show, some commercials, a role in a movie. She's earned it." Jaden's temper got a lot worse after the bankruptcy. "She put up with a lot." "Understood," my assistant replied. I hung up and leaned back, closing my eyes. A few months later, Jaden's verdict came in, the death penalty. As for Mr. and Mrs. Vance, they had been in the hospital since they fainted. When they finally woke up and were told that of their 2 children, one was dead and the other was on death row, they promptly fainted again. This time, it was more serious. They were paralyzed. They woke up again a short while later. I went to visit them in the hospital. The sight of me made them both pass out again. At that point, I became curious. I had no intention of paying their medical bills. But now, I found myself wondering just how many times they could be angered into unconsciousness before their bodies finally gave out for good. So, I not only paid for their treatment, but also left specific instructions with the doctors and nurses. The moment my parents woke up, they were to contact me, their son, immediately. And that was the state of the Vance family. As for their corporation, I had considered acquiring it, but after an investigation, I found it was all style and no substance. A gilded shell, rotten to the core. It wasn't worth my time. My own company was infinitely superior. Swallowing theirs would just give me indigestion. Oh, and that floating text feed? It vanished the moment the protagonist, Jaden, was sentenced to death. Now, with the system's buff firmly on my side, the number of zeros in my bank account just keeps growing daily. Life, I sighed, looking out the window of my car, is pretty damn good. End.